If you don't believe in conspiracy, then you shouldn't be looking at the Underground Railroad. The New World Order. Auction and Negro sales. $100. 40 years of Negro men Tuskegee syphilis experiment. Moon posting a flag and playing golf. There are three truths: the dreadful bitter truth, your truth, and the Clifton Broadly Underground Railroad's truth. We as the media, mission, and duty is to make you aware of what's happening in our city, community.
All aboard, come on up Clifton, and beat the drums.
Hi, welcome to the Underground Railroad. I'm D. Curtis Randall. I have as a guest a person that wrote this great book, and we're going to talk about this great book as excellent read by Elishaba Clark. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
All right. And we also have former Chicago police officer Vince Davis. Thank you for joining us again.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, Elishaba. Tell us about this book. I mean, The Adventures of Team Apple.
Yes. The book was originally created by my older brother, Ezekiel. He created it for healthy eating purposes when he was 10 in 2010. I believe he created it after Michelle Obama made the healthy eating movement around summer of 2010. And so recently he gave me the book. He handed it down, and before he did, he asked me to illustrate it. So I illustrated the book in around 2014, and we found all the files, and we were like, hey, let's put this back together and put it out there.
How long did it take you?
It took us about 2 years to get everything down packed, and then we were like, okay, let's get this done, let's get this out there, let's let people know that this exists. And after doing that, my brother gave me the rights of the book, and
now you did all of the illustrations?
Yeah, I did the illustration a while back, and so that copy that you have there is it's the recent of our old ones.
Okay, what did the first pictures look like?
Excuse me.
The first pictures were my brother was the original illustrator, so he illustrated the book completely. He could draw better than me at the time.
Oh, okay.
And he stopped drawing though because he started to pursue doing guitar in 2014, and now he works for Taylor Bennett. Yeah, he just turned 20. He's turning 21 next year, and you know, he's been doing a lot of shows and stuff like that. So when he started doing shows, he's like, Elishaba, I need you to take over the book because I can't do this anymore. Okay. So but he still works with me, and we're still working on the second book recently. So
nice. How old are you?
I'm 17.
Wow. And you go to school or you homeschool?
I'm homeschooled. I've been homeschooled my entire life. Me and all 7 of my siblings.
You and 7 of your siblings are all homeschooled?
I know we have 5 sisters, and I have 5 sisters and 1 brother.
Okay. Do you find homeschool challenging?
I feel like personally that homeschool is a lot better than public school, mainly because I've learned a lot more than I believe that I could have learned in a school. I don't know much about school, but I've heard experiences from other people, which is what makes me think that maybe that was a better choice, doing homeschool than doing regular school.
Sure. What grade are you in this homeschool?
Well, I'm 17, so 11th.
Okay.
11
so
to 12.
That would make you a junior.
Yeah.
You have aspirations for college?
I do, and at the same time, I don't. I'm still thinking about that.
Well, you're young.
Yeah, definitely.
You're young. It'll take its time. But, I mean, right now, you have something, you're learning about marketing. You're learning about basically getting ideals together, a storyline, and get so you're pretty much a journalist.
I've been aspiring writing for a while. I write small novels and like my documents and stuff, and on paper, and I just like write little short stories just to practice on my writing, because I do aspire to be a animator / comic book writer later in life.
Now, basically, how long have you been writing?
I've been writing for 4 years.
Okay.
I started, I want to say 13. I want to say it started at 13 because that's when I found out about Wattpad.
Oh, okay. I'm still trying to find that out.
Wattpad is a website used for writers who make like short stories and things like that. Some get out there as a public use, and some just stay in Wattpad.
Really, have other people read your work?
I don't put it out there. I just keep them as drafts.
Oh, you keep them as drafts.
Well, I was working on one short novel. I let my mom read it, and I actually put it on Wattpad. So.
What did she think of it?
She thought it was amazing. And I only finished the prologue in chapter 1, and she was like, "Alicia, but this is amazing." And I was like, "Thank you." I still try to broaden my vocabulary when I write, which is why I like writing.
Do you feel you've done your best work?
I feel like I have gone a long way ever since after I started illustrating the book. I started doing animation. So after finishing that book, I started animating when I was like 12. So I started illustrating that book when I was around 11 to 10, and then I started animating a bit after that. And I started making my own animated series and stuff. There's one, and it's not out there, but it was called You Gotta Go Through It to Get to It. And it was this black family. And my mom was like, "This is amazing. You should put this out there." I was like, "I know," but I was like 12 at the time, and we didn't have any internet. So that was the reason why I started making my own series.
What could convince you to bring this out to the public?
Well, especially during this time, I wanted the kids, children, to have a book to read, especially in the development it is now. I was like, when it comes to character designing a children's book, you want to make the designs as simplistic as possible so that the kids can draw it, which is why I like certain shows that do make simplistic styles for children. So when I saw The Adventures of Team Up, I was like, we could still put this out there for kids, because the style is so, if they want to draw the characters, they can. It's just circle heads, stick figures, and it's easy to draw.
Are you a reader?
I am a reader.
What's the best book you've ever read?
I know it's this book called The Witch's Hat. I'm pretty sure it's something like that. And then another book called Warrior Cats. And I read both of those books, and they're pretty good. And I forgot the author's name, but they're one of my favorite books.
Oh, okay. Would you like to one day be put in that that category?
And as an author?
Yes.
No. What I aspire to be as a career choice later in life is a animator / illustrator, because I really aspire to doing art and animation.
There's a lot of good money in that.
Yeah, and I've been taking classes and stuff. I've been reaching out to other artists, animators and such, because you have to have a hobby during this pandemic. Yeah. So when I found out about that, and when I, especially during the times when it comes to black creators, there's not a lot of black creators that you see that are animators, illustrators, or any of that. So when I started telling people that, I'm black and I make art, they were like, "Oh my God, your art is so amazing. How did you do this?"
Alicia, but you've been on this earth before. I will say that. You've been on this earth before, because there's no way a 17-year-old talks like that. I mean, very commendable stuff.
Thank you.
Mr. Davis, education is a key, but we're going through a pandemic right now. how can we increase our educational goals?
Oh, in terms of increasing, let me tell you this here. This is the best thing that can ever happen, because I'm not going to say not the pandemic, but the virtual learning. My grandkids and my grandkids, they have knowledge about that computer now, and online classes in education it's going to be in the future. So,
You think so?
Yes, because in light of the pandemic, I think you learn more virtual, because you have to do the work. If you don't do the work, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And plus, these children right now, they're being taught to use that computer. Their typing skills I've been watching my grandson. He's just,
Are we seeing the end of brick and mortar schools as we see them now?
Well, I think one should have a choice to take online classes or go to in-person brick and mortar, because you can, as I said before, you can learn better. It's me, because when I was at Eastern Illinois University, when I was in a classroom setting, there's about 40, 50 students. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's very hard to network with that teacher, because everybody's running up to him or her. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, but just watching my grandkids, as I said, I think you're learning more. Homeschool is what she's doing right now. Mm-hmm. She's learning. Right now. She should be in college right now. The way she's talking.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I
agree. I've taught for a while in terms of the learning the different styles of teaching, and you have hands-on. You have traditional way of learning. But what she's doing right now, it's amazing.
Do you think Chicago Public Schools should take a lesson from her homeschooling?
I think so. I believe so, because...
And coordinate that with their syllabus and make it better?
Yeah, incorporate into their lesson plans. I believe it'll work. Because when I went to Africa, and I was in Ethiopia, and I noticed that being over there, they teach their children. They say, you're going to be the lawyer, you're going to be the doctor, you're going to be the pilot. But here, we let our kids make their own choices, and a lot of times your mind is mature. You might not go the right way. You know what I'm saying? So we should really, work with our kids in terms of, hey, listen, you can do this. If A doesn't work, try B. If B don't work, go C. So, if you want to be a police officer, be a police officer, but also be an educator, or be an artist, okay?
Now, I'll ask this question to you. Chicago Public Schools have a school board that is selected. Should there be an elected school board?
Well, that's politics. I was elected as the teachers, LAC council, local school council.
Local school council.
Rep. I was a teacher's rep, and it's a lot of politics in there, and I think they should be. I don't think they should be elected. You should be based upon your experience and your education. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to discriminate towards people that are less educated, but we gotta step it up, because right now, our schools are under attack in the black community.
Well, Alicia, but let me ask you.
Yes.
What could Chicago Public Schools learn from your education, the way you learn?
Well, it's almost like I feel like they need to put more creative rights into schools, because from what I've heard from my peers, some schools do allow their children and the students to be free, make their decisions, not do what they want in particular, but more make their own decisions. Because in life, if somebody is making your own decisions, then you can't.
Oh, wow.
You can't do what you want. Like, say, when somebody says the American standard, from what I've heard is, you know, it's either doctor, lawyer, pilot, army, or you're going to work a 9 to 5, which isn't really the case. See, I aspired to be a freelancer when I grew up. And I don't think a lot of my peers think they're going to be a freelancer of their own work. They think they're going to be working a 9 to 5, or they're going to be a doctor, or they're going to be a lawyer. And the thing that schools do is that they don't allow enough creative rights for the students to understand that, hey, there are more choices other than this. There are more choices other than that. You can be who you want. And, you know, especially as a society, we need to know how to make it equal for everybody, because kids are humans too.
Right. And
Even though we're not adults.
you're able to control your narrative that way.
Basically, because if we get told that we have to do something in life, then we're just going to be following the rules throughout our entire life.
Well, I tell you, I went to school, I graduated from high school in 1978, and I was told that I had to learn Spanish. And I took Spanish for 1 year in 77, and that allowed me to graduate in 78. To this day, I may know 5 words in Spanish.
See, that's the thing too. After school, if you didn't really learn something that you wanted to, especially when it comes to college or high school, you learn that you learn it and then you forget it. But I've heard so many stories of people coming out of college and being like, all right, I just learned all this and now I'm gonna forget it all,
Right.
just to get that degree. And I'm like, that's kind of that's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense, because why would you, as an education system, have people do this for 4 years and then come out and say, I'm gonna forget it?
So it should be your choice.
It should be your choice what you want to do. Like, understand that, yes, America is built off of education and all of this other stuff, but at the same time, you also have to get the students what they want. Because at the end of the day, if you don't give them what they want, they're just going to end out as dropouts.
Do you believe that African American history or studies of African American history is needed?
I feel like that is the most needed, because a lot of people say that African Americans, and basically everybody of color who was put into slavery during their day, built America. And I'm like, yes, we did. So why don't you tell our history?
So slavery should be included in that syllabus of studying.
I feel like, and this might be touchy, but if 9/11 can be taught a million times, I feel like slavery could be taught a million times too. Because at the same time, that's still American history.
Mr. Davis, I pose the same question to you.
Well, I mean, there has been a lot of myth in terms of about us, you know, coming on slave trips into America. First of all, we were already here, so that's, you know, you got to call it how you see it. You know, we were here already, okay? So we have a golden history in terms of what our forefathers and you know, because everything started where? In Africa.
Sure.
Well, that's not the true name of Africa. Africa is named after a European, but the true name of Africa, I don't know right offhand, but I know it's not Africa, put it that way. So we have a true history, and I think we should go back to civilization, ancient Egypt, and go forth, you know, to this day. You know, it don't start with just slavery.
Sure, no. I would say that recently they just came out with Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, back in the 1900s, and the riots they had out there, and they're finally discovering after 100 years, they've dug up the bodies of those people who were perished down there. Nobody knows about it because nobody was taught about it. And maybe that is important, that to know how we are today, we should know how we were back then.
Yeah, I agree with you, because we were industrious people back then, and we still are. We just need to incorporate it into the school system, into our educational system, and let these young people make their own decisions. However, you know, but we still have to guide them to a certain extent.
Now, you're a young person, you're 17 years old. You see the injustices that's going on around the country now. You're not of voting age now, but you have friends that maybe have reached that level. Are the conversations coming up about voting?
Well, I come up to conversations I only have like 3 friends who are up to voting age, and I talk to them about it. And whenever I talk to them about it, I try to like understand about politics because I don't know much about politics, but I know enough to know that voting right now, especially, is very vital. And when it comes to voting, this year, I feel like it's most prime because if we don't vote, I'm not gonna say who, but
Yeah.
it's going to be very drastic. It's going to be a very drastic change if we don't vote for who we need to vote. My mom said, I'm voting for the person who is going to be of accountability. And I was like, you know what, that makes sense. Because if you feel like you're voting for somebody who has the most competence, then that shows that they're most likely going to be the best president. That's how I feel.
It's not about color.
It's definitely not about color. I don't feel like anything should ever be about color. Because at the end of the day, we're all the same people. No matter the color, we're the same species. We're all humans, so it doesn't matter. We're just built different.
Right.
We all have different likes, different dislikes, different body types. So when it comes to color, I'm like, who cares about color? We're all human. You can be with this person, you can be with that person. It doesn't matter as long as you're living your life as a human being and respecting everybody else. It shouldn't matter.
Mr. Davis, the injustices that's going on with our current chief executive, the things that he says, the rhetoric that's going on out of his camp, should that be tolerated?
It should be. It should be tolerated. Just to go back to, well, a reasonable, prudent individual. Some of the things he's been saying has been way to the right. You know, I am a liberal, okay, and then liberals can be also radicals too. Some of his statements, to me, is like you're provoking a civil war, and he's the president. However, some of the things he's saying it doesn't make any sense. It's not reasonable because you aggravating. You're agitating people for violence. You know, and I never heard of a president advocating violence on TV, during his speeches. That's to me that's like like you said, we all are human, and we all should work together. So again, we'll see. Vote.
Alicia, in the 2 minutes that we have left, in your world, in your perfect world, how would you like to see Chicago?
In Chicago?
Yes.
Personally, I feel like we just have a few more nooks and crannies to fix, honestly. I haven't been around Chicago a lot, but I have heard stories, and we have a lot to fix about it. Definitely about our politics, our people, the environment we live in, especially as Black people. I'm not gonna say the color because I don't really believe in color, but honestly, when it comes to Black people, I feel like we live in the most poverty the majority of the time, which is true, and anybody of color.
Okay. Alicia Clark, thank you so much. Mr. Davis, thank you so much for being here. We're watching the Underground Railroad. Take care.
Underground Railroad. Finally got Cliff Kelly and Father Flaker. How do you stop the crime in the community?
Stop crime the way Father Flaker does. You go out into the community, you create jobs for people. You go into these places, you're selling the loose cigarettes. You won't even hire anybody from the community. Right. You do what Father Flaker does. Okay. What he teaches all these young people. Okay.
I think exactly what Cliff said. You got to implement in the community. You got to give people jobs. We got to demand our unemployment stop being 30%. We got to get good schools in our neighborhoods. We got to get options for our young people to do, and we got to help those coming back from prison with alternatives and sending them back to prison. We cannot think we're going to stop violence by just blaming parents and blaming neighbors and not blaming the root of the problem.
You got to get them
the Malaysia Airlines. The Malaysia Airlines, where the whole world wants to get to the root of what happened. Let's have the courage to get to the root of what violence is about.
Okay, we all watch the Underground Railroad every Saturday night at 10:30.
Yes, sir. Saturday night, yes, sir.
Absolutely. I got to get both of these guys on. I've been trying to get them for years.
I'm going to do it. We're going to both be out.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I follow you guys.
Bless you. Thank you.
This is Gina from the East Side. Don't forget to watch the Underground Railroad at 10:30 on Saturdays.
Is it a very good show?
Yes, it's a very good show.
Oh.
Give us the feedback. You can pull us up on YouTube, Facebook, and let us know how you like everything.
East Side.
East Side.
All right. Thank you.